Okay, we're going. We're live. All right. So Cody Bass, you're probably one of the first people I met back in Mississauga and when hockey really got serious. You were already a year in.
Yeah,
You're an 87 birthday for the record. I'm an 86.
yeah.
I came late on the scene in major junior hockey. So you were with the Mississauga Ice Dogs, 1 year in. So you were a second year player when I got there. And I think you even wore the A that did you wear the A in your second year?
My second year, yeah.
With O'Sullivan
Yep,
and Quincy and those
yep,
guys.
yep.
Okay, so let's back up just before you got into the OHL. When did hockey start to become serious for you? Because if I remember correctly, you were like a prospect. You were someone people were watching, like even entering the OHL. Is that true?
Yeah. Um, so interesting story, but it was oh Lord, you're touching on memories here. I don't think I've thought about in a long time. Um, so my family bounced around growing up. You kind of know the family background, and we were in a little town called Meaford, Ontario, and then we moved to Georgetown, Ontario. And my mom and my stepdad at the time were trying to chase work, but they were also trying to chase the best little hockey program for me. And it's so funny, right? We're so young. Your parents, parents have no idea. It's just, shooting a dart at a dartboard. And we end up in Guelph, where it was a AAA program. And that's where I can't remember the leagues, probably like 10, 11s where my career kind of like, that's where it was a starting point for me, where I had a lot of people approaching me in prospect tournaments and approaching my mom and Gary, just being like, "Hey, this kid's a decent little player."
That was
Now,
at
what is
10?
that?
You're around
That,
10 or
that
11 at
yeah,
that time? Triple A?
yeah, AAA,
Okay.
and and then that's kind of when it kicked off. Like I got approached by Newport. I think were you a Newport guy too?
No,
No, I got
never.
approached by Newport at the age of 13. So I was going into Newport Sports Management, Donnie Meehan, Pat Moore's hockey agency guys, and they had everybody. They had absolutely everybody. But that was like the age of 13. And then there's articles coming out. We had like, um, was it under 16s and stuff like that. But I played as a double underager for Junior B Guelph Dominators, and
Hmm.
that's kind of when things were really starting to take off. And I was oblivious. I was just a kid that just liked to play hockey.
So
You
you
know?
were doing well, like an impact player playing up 2 years at that age.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
I rushed like the junior B league was growing up. I could score goals. We all know I couldn't score goals and I had cement hands, but like growing up, I actually would score. I was very talented. And then I got rushed into junior B at the age of like 14 and played that year. And then I got drafted to the O to the point of like, I was signed on with Newport Sports at the age of 13, and I started getting some recruitment letters from schools. But it was all just my childhood, my upbringing. It all meant nothing. Like my family, me, we had no idea what this meant. We had no idea what was coming, where it was going to lead to. And then there's articles, me being compared to like Andrew Cogliano as some of the best skaters in the draft for the
Mm.
80s, and that's above like Crosby because I was the Crosby draft. And for junior stuff between the Q, the O, the WHL, and I got drafted first round to Mississauga, and
Mhm.
that's kind of when it was just
Mhm.
all uphill from there.
So you got to the O, and like I know O'Sullivan was there, Quincy was there, 'cause they're 85s.
Yeah,
Some good players. Like you to me always seemed like you have like the natural leadership qualities. Like that's just in your DNA. You've never struck me as someone who's shy or sheepish or who is afraid to step on anyone's toes. Would you agree with that? Like, I feel like you just burst in the door and made a home. Like you're like, I'm here, I'm ready to play. I'm not afraid. Like you've never been a fearful player either. You play with sandpaper. Like, was that just in you, or was that something that you were acting? Like,
yeah, that's a great point. Um, Looking back on it now, is a lot of it was acting. I mean, the leadership stuff was who I was, I think. I think I was just never, I think a lot of it too was just don't be afraid. Like coming into a locker room, playing junior B at such a young age as like a double underager. And that year, there was like me and Brian Little were kind of like the top prospects in our junior B league. And, you know, Litzy turned out to be a hell of a hockey player.
Yeah.
But it was like, I think I just like, advanced faster than coming in to the junior league in Mississauga. I think it was just I just had to do what you had to do, man. I think that was my mindset. Like I think I knew where I came from, and I knew I didn't ever want to live that life and go back to that. And I saw a path, and it was just more or less like you do whatever you have to do to get there,
Hmm.
and that's kind of what I did. Um, Being the leader, and don't you the locker room with Sully and those guys. It's a tough little locker room to come into.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to stand your own. If you don't have some pride and strength internally at that time where the game was, those guys would eat you up. You know, they would eat you up as a rookie and young guy, and that league would eat you up. You know, so you had to have some pride and some self worth, and take some ownership to kind of building your character and who you want to be.
Yeah, you know what? What you're just saying, it kind of reminds me of what you hear about prison. Like on that first day, you got you got to just like fight someone or something so people don't mess with you. I feel like the like major junior hockey is a bit like that, you know, because they'll try to step on your toes and you got to hold your own, or else you know that just becomes your identity. Someone who can get walked over. Um, but Greg Gilbert, was he the coach there for your rookie year in Mississauga?
Yeah,
Okay,
so you probably remember him too. I had Ken. Remember Ken Cook? I
Ken
had
Cook.
Cookie was my coach in junior B. So Ken Cook was our GM my first year,
Mm.
and I think he was there my second year. You had Ken Cook as a
Oh,
GM,
he
Mississauga,
wasn't. Mario Forgione was the GM. Yeah,
when you came.
for yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I had Cookie. Cookie became the GM of the Mississauga Ice Dogs, and he was my coach in junior, and that's who drafted me to the O. So I had Cookie and Greg Gilbert.
Okay, so Cook would have hired Gilbert, so they must have
Yeah,
had a connection there. Yeah, so Mario Forgione comes on the scene,
yeah,
and Dave Brown was the assistant GM, and he's at an amazing place now.
yeah.
Um, I was just we had a connection. Appreciated him all through my time there.
He's
But
fun.
what effect did Greg Gilbert have on you? Because I don't know about you, but for me, he's responsible for me becoming a pro player because he was the first coach that actually taught real hockey. Like we're not all going to be goal scorers. We're not all going to be the TSN highlight guy.
Yeah,
You have to find a role. You have to know the places on the ice where pros know what to do, the blue lines, you know, the details of the game, getting the pucks out, getting the pucks in, know when to chip it, when to make a play, you know, how to back check all the way to the house, you know, all these types of things Gibby brought light to, you know, because you have coaches in minor hockey, junior B, they don't actually know hockey, you know, the details of the game, all the stuff that the fans don't see, that what makes pros pros. Did you feel the same about having Gibby as a coach?
yeah. I get. Man, you're touching on some good childhood stuff. 100%. Like Gibby, and I think there's a lot of guys in our locker room those years. Like that was your first year, but even my first year with Ryan Stokes, you know, Shrempy was there for a bit, Sully, but a lot of guys can go back and thank Gibby. Gibby was, and this was the beautiful part about junior hockey. I think when we were brought up, and it's hard to say now. Like I worked for the Avalanche as a scout, but I was a pro scout for years, but not an amateur. But I think kids now have so many other coaches, and that could be from parents to parents hiring other coaches outside of junior hockey, skills coaches, whatever. Where when we grew up, like our head coach was it. Like he was like our father figure, our mentor. He was our teacher. And I think having for us, I think we were so lucky to have a man that played in the NHL, won Stanley Cups. You know, he engraved the pro game into us. And I think that helped us all succeed at the pro level, you know, in different ways. Um, Gibby also was a human. He treated us with respect. He was hard on us. He taught us the game. But, Gibby walking around in his old shitty clothing, you know what I mean? Ripped up shirts, big chew in. Like, he was a
Yeah,
human. You know what
true.
I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
he was stealing the guy's chew from the locker room. Like,
yeah.
it was stuff like that, which you got to be grateful for. There's too many coaches that are just, they're kind of stuck in their way, and they forget, to also be a human with players.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
Gibby was
Yeah.
good. He taught us. He taught us not just about life. He taught us the game. He taught us the game of hockey, and he taught us the game of life, I think. So
Mhm.
he was
So
great.
when did the Cody Bass player identity come online? The Cody Bass that I know. So you were a skill player in minor hockey in junior, and that basically got you to where you are. But then in the O, you took on a different role. Like, was Gibby responsible for that, like shaping you?
Yeah, I think so. Also, just getting drafted first round, coming into that year, we made it to the OHL finals my first year. Oh man, I can't remember all the guys, but BJ Kern, I think his name was,
Chad Payne show, probably.
Chad Payne Show, Rudisella, um, Uza Sagoli. But that was a good first year. I mean, that was a lot of hockey I got to play my first year in the O, which was awesome. But I played, I got thrown into this kind of shutdown role, which was amazing. It's you just, the best part about the role is, I mean, it's challenging because you got to show up every shift, but you just play hard. Like,
Yeah.
that was identity. That was my line. My game was, Cody's going to be difficult to play against, and that's how I kind of built that my first year. And then second year and third year, as junior careers go on, you lose veterans and you become a veteran. You got to start producing a little more, right? Because that's just the natural path of junior hockey. And I
Mhm,
thought I produced enough throughout my career, but I think I embraced that hard nosed game. And then being drafted by Ottawa, that's kind of what they wanted me to do as well. Chris
mhm.
Draper type hockey kind of thing. Um, we want you, you're never going to be a point guy. You're never going to be a top producer. So we want you to be a hard nosed shutdown player, bottom six guy that's just difficult to play against.
Is that something that they said to you specifically, like going to rookie camp or when they drafted you, or did you just piece that together? Or was it your agents? Like, did you have a mentor at that time? Like, how did you figure that out?
Yeah, a lot of it was communication between Ottawa and Gibby. Gibby was pretty good at communicating with them, and they were calling him to be like, "Hey, talk to Cody. This is what we want him to do." So I had
Mhm.
Gibby in my ear, and then I had Rand. I'm trying to think of the player development guys at the time from Ottawa, but I had them kind of taking me out, talking to me, being like, "This is what you're going to do. This is the type of player we want you to be." And it was challenging for me because it's at that time of the game, that era of hockey, we got to witness a little bit of a transition, right? Getting rid of
Yeah.
the big meatheads, but then like the Carcillos and stuff like that were like the prime tough guys,
Mhm.
where you had to learn how to play, but then there was still a lot of fighting, a lot of aggression in hockey. So we had that beautiful sample, that transition. But I remember when I turned pro, um, when I was like done with junior, turning pro, going to camp, played a couple exhibition games. They liked my game, whatever. They sent me down to the A in Binghamton, but we had a pretty heavy veteran team. So I was a healthy scratch the first 7 games of my career.
Okay. Wait, Pastor. Back up, back up. We're still in junior here. I want to hear
Oh
about
crap!
like your first. So you get drafted by Ottawa. Did you go to the draft or was it online at
No,
that
it's
time?
lockout year, man. Did on my couch. Yeah,
Okay.
lockout year.
Did you know that you were gonna maybe go to Ottawa, or were there a couple teams in the mix there?
Yeah, so we had the combine. So I got invited to the combine, and then I had my meetings, had extra workouts, and then my one extra workout that went really well was with Ottawa. And my
At the
meeting,
combine, like an extra workout, they would take you.
yeah. So
Okay.
show up at the combine, full day. You have your testing, right, and then you have testing and meetings that day and the next day. And some players had meetings before, like the testing day, top guys. And I had 2 meetings with Ottawa. They called me back for a second interview. And then when it was all done, they're like, hey, can you stay an extra day? We want to put you through our own little. So there's like 6 or 7 of us that got put through another workout.
Mm. Any interesting questions come from those interviews?
It was good. Again, I'm bad with names here. So long ago, but they had a psych guy. Like most teams had their psychologist or whatever that was in the meetings, and he did a lot of the questions. It was fun because they were more interested about my life, like all the questions with Ottawa, a little bit about hockey, but like, who are you? What do you do for fun? Talk to me about your family. Talk to me about your mom. Talk to me about your dad. And that was like my interview with them, which every other team was like just mostly hockey. So it was kind of it was light. It was different. And I got a really good sense there, especially when the combine ended after that workout. My agent's like, yeah, like you're on their list to be drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Did your agency prepare you in any way to go to that combine? Did they say, hey, this is what they're going to test for? These are the types of questions they're going to ask. This is what they want to hear. Was there anything like that?
a little bit. I think before junior hockey, I was a real high prospect for Newport. And then I got filtered down into a guy that has a chance to play in the NHL. So they prepped me a little bit. Kind of like, I can't remember. I think we got a package of like the testing of what they're going to be testing for, but questions was more just minor prep, like I showed up at the hotel in Toronto and I got a schedule. Once I signed in, they gave me a schedule, and it was kind of a long day, and you just walk around to your meetings and follow that schedule.
And who went with you? Was it just you, or did your family go with you to that?
Yeah, my stepdad was there, but they just dropped me off. And I was kind of like, my agent was there, but he also had, 40 other players and so it was like he would see me and say hi, but it was kind of like on my own, trying to figure it all out.
Mm-hmm.
12
Wow.
hours.
So you played in the CHL Top Prospect game that year,
Yeah.
leading up to that?
Yeah.
Where was it that year?
Vancouver.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember you leaving for that for some reason.
Yeah, I think that was
Oh, that would have been your first year. Never mind. I
that was
wasn't
my
there.
first year. That was
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember where it was. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Vancouver. Yeah,
Man, that's incredible. You can't remember where it is. Like
it was Vancouver.
some
What's so
people
funny
are.
is because I remember them giving us a tour of the city
Mm-hmm.
and seeing like at the time like parts of Vancouver. And what hockey is. They teach you a lot of bad stuff, and it's like, here's a part of Vancouver you don't go to, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I remember all the Western kids that were there. Yeah, it was Vancouver.
Wow. So I'm wondering what it must have been like for you to get to that game, because that's a big deal. And that's the big dogs, like across major junior hockey, like the creme de la creme. So Crosby was there. He's 87, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to interact with him? Because he's always been sort of like, that the hockey godlight has been shining on him since he was, 9. I remember seeing a special on the news of this kid just devouring like leagues in Atlantic Canada.
Yeah.
What was
No,
that like?
I didn't communicate with him. I think at that time I was still maturing. As a lot of these kids and families, I think the top players are very, very mature mentally, physically. Like when you're Crosby or you're in that class of first round draft picks, like physically and mentally, you're above everybody.
Mhm,
And this is how I look at it. Like the first round guys, when you get drafted that high, there's something unique about you. You have a gift, and you're maximizing that gift, right? And then it kind of filters down everything. Kind of the second round, you're less mature, not as good, and it just filtered. That's how I look at the draft and these kids. And a guy like Crosby, just overall, he's been different since he was probably 12 years old, 10 years old. Like he's just above everybody in everything he does. So, and there's some other kids, like I've got to remember these kids' name. The last name Gilbert. That was a really good skater from the West. He had a short career pro.
mhm. Was
But
Mark Stahl, I think what it might have been there too.
Mark Stahl, Ryan O'Mara,
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Omar was a highly touted pick, first round. Um,
Mhm.
Trying to think of all the guys. Yeah, Mark Stahl.
Yeah. So you get drafted by Ottawa. You go to rookie camp right after the draft, showing up there. So your first time putting, that Senators jersey on. Um, you have the professional trainers. Like it's just another world. Did you feel at home right away? Did you feel like I'm the guy? Like I'm here, I'm drafted, they want me, I'm a top prospect. Like, did that help give you confidence through, that summer and going into your third year?
Yeah, a little bit. I was drafted fourth round, 95th overall, but technically I was Ottawa's second pick that year. So kind of got prepped as kind of like, you're the second pick, you're not just the fourth pick. So going in there was great, just because growing up in Ontario, most of the people are Leaf fans. So getting drafted by the rival, which was pretty cool. And there were some big dogs there. Alfie, Spez. They
Mhm.
had some really good young players. Fish, like there was Chris Neal. Like
Was
they had
Hosa
a,
there at the time too?
pardon me,
Marian Hosa, was he there at the time?
Hossa, and we had Alex Kovalev.
Oh
Uh,
man.
yeah, yeah. So it was really really cool going in there. And I don't think I went in there confident. I went in there shy, scared, nervous. What you're doing now with helping kids prep the mental side is stuff that I would say me, I don't know about you, but stuff that I missed out on big time.
Oh yeah.
Like going in the games and not having like pride myself on trying to be confident, but like you said, is in my acting. Like I was a scared, sheltered, quiet little kid, so I went in there just with the idea of like excited, grateful and excited. And all I could do is just show up and do what I could, man. Like, I don't think I don't think I had any confidence to say, hey, I'm here, I'm the guy, you know.
Mhm.
I don't think I had that confidence in me, but I was just excited and grateful.
Let me ask you this because I look back now in my own career and I see it as a big mistake. Going to these NHL camps, I personally showed up as like on a tourist visa. I showed up and I'm just like, "Oh, it's cool that I'm here right now, but I know I'm not gonna be here. I know these other guys all deserve the spots, not me. I'm just, this, sort of kid who doesn't really deserve to be here. I was invited, but I still don't deserve to be here." Like I kind of had that sort of mentality. In a way, it's self-sabotaging. Whereas I looked around, some other players showed up and players who they weren't like the big dog. They weren't the star NHL player, but they're just like, I deserve a place on this team and I'm gonna try to show them. Did you ever have like was that your mentality? Like maybe not the first year, but any of the years going to camp, were you like, I deserve to be here? Like that third line center job is mine.
Mm. I think after a couple years pro, going into camps, and I was fortunate, but you know, I won't jump too far ahead, of course, but I was injuries kind of killed me. But I think after you get your first year pro under your belt, I think you really settle into the expectations and knowing what to expect. I think for me, my first year was awesome. I had a great experience with it, and that's where I really started to build some confidence. Um, the worst part is when you build confidence and then you get punched in the face and they send you down. You're like, well, shit, like this is deflating. You did all this work to build yourself up and feel good, and then you go to camp and they send you down. You're like, what's next?
Yeah.
How does this work? But kind of what I touched on, before was I just had a mindset to just go, right? Like everything I did everything hard. Everything I do in life is high pace,
Mhm.
hard, because that's the only thing I know. I can't just take days off. I can't just be slow. And I was kind of like that in hockey. That was the way I lived my whole life, man. Growing up was everything you do hard. And that
Yeah.
was my mentality every day, pro hockey. So,
Mhm. Yeah, well, like, where did you learn that? Was your stepdad like that? Your mom? Like, where does that come from?
hmm, I don't know. I
Yeah.
really don't know. I think it's just mentality of just not wanting to live like my family, not not wanting to go back to Owen Sound, not wanting to fall into the family tree line of how I was brought up, and I wanted better for myself. So
Mhm.
the only thing, and it's so funny because it's such a cliche saying, but the only thing you can control is yourself and what you put into life every single day. That is it. And I
Yeah.
think that's the mentality I adopted, sorry, early on at a young age was like, but I ran hard and all this stuff, but it was like, but every single day you show up to go to work.
Yeah.
So my first year, and
Wait,
here's,
let's finish junior. And I ask you that question because I know I have it myself, like everything you're saying. I'm like, yeah, like that's like obviously that's the way you should live your life. In working with youth athletes now and trying to get them to sort of buy into that ethos or philosophy, and I'm recognizing like some people just like don't have that and they don't understand it. So when I ask you, I'm genuinely curious, like where does it come from? We need to figure this out because it's the key. If you have that, you can do anything you want in life, like literally anything you want. You set your mind to it, set goals, and you live and die by it. Like every movement you make in your life is either helping you reach that goal or it's not. So you have a choice with literally everything you do, you know?
yeah, and I love that. I would sit here and say, kids and youth are different, and that's just the evolution of life. But who we were as kids, and even people before us, you talk to these old school guys, and
Yeah.
like they're the best, right? You
Yeah.
talk to these old school guys about their journey, how they were brought up, etc., and then you hit us. But like these kids are, life's different now, right? They hard times and struggles. Like I'm a firm believer, so I like to get to know people. Like when I do business now, like I like to get to know people. Who am I going to do business with? Let's just talk about that because it
Yeah.
kind of falls in line. I'm a big believer in people that had really hard challenges in life and have overcome it. Because when, especially these kids, you hear some horrific stories, but I love seeing interviews about some of these NHL guys now, these young kids, and they talk about life and some stuff they've been through or where they were brought up and how they were brought up working on a farm or whatever the case. I love that.
Yeah.
Like I want to hear some challenges you've had in life because I want some adversity. Because the game of hockey and the game of life is full of adversity. And what are you going to do? How do you overcome that? How do you push through it? So to me, it's the only thing you can control is what do you put into it every single day. And I think that's just kind of that was my whole career. Just
Mhm.
every day. I made sure every single day I was the hardest working guy in the ice. That's
Yeah.
it. And I'll be honest, like I wasn't a great hockey player, but I worked hard every day. And as a coach, if you were my coach or Gibby, you just know what you got from me every day. And consistency was a good thing to have growing up when we were playing.
Yeah. Consistency, reliability, coachability.
Reliability.
You could
There you
literally
go.
make a career just
Yep.
on those things.
Amazing.
If you can skate, you could pass, and you can shoot, like, the coach can tell you what to do, and if you listen and you do it to the best of your ability every day the same, y you're a gift for the coach. He loves that, you know?
How hard is it?
Yeah, it's really not. Just do what the coach says and work hard, like,
It's just a mentality, man. Like, oh,
yeah,
your career was the same way, dude.
same.
Like, I remember being in the locker room in Mississauga, and guys we all be, let's say, out drinking or something, and you came in like clean in the gym, pushing everybody. Like, you were a gym rat too. I love that. Like,
Yeah.
so and I think what you said, how you were kind of like a walk on, you didn't deserve to be there. I don't like that. I don't believe in that. You got it. You got it.
I don't believe it anymore, but
Well,
I
there
did
you
at the
go.
time. Yeah.
You had an opportunity, man. God gave you and a team gave you an opportunity to come in and show who you were. That it's not that you didn't
Yeah.
you deserved it. Your path was just different, you know.
That's why I do the work that I do today. because I see it and I don't want others to make the same mistake. But
Hmm.
let's talk about like you signed in junior.
Yeah.
So you got drafted.
Yeah.
When did you sign? Was it your second year during the season? Or
Yeah.
was it
So
third
my
year?
drafted my second year. I signed the after my third year. So my third
After the
year,
third year.
yeah. So I came back to junior the full year with a signing bonus, which
So that would have been Saginaw for you.
started in Mississauga and
Yeah.
then moved over to Saginaw. Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't have so you had money while you were playing junior still for your fourth year. You
Yeah.
had the signing bonus.
Yeah.
If you were 1 year older, you would have tapped into the big bonuses because you were the first year
Oh,
that it all changed. I mean,
shit.
it still wasn't bad, but
No, I mean, no, it
it was a
wasn't
big
bad.
drop off.
Yeah, my bonus was a big drop off. And if I would have waited, because I had a pretty decent year my third year, if I would have waited and signed kind of right after my fourth year, I would have made probably another 40-50% on bonuses. But either way, family background, Ottawa called me. They talked to my agent. I remember this whole thing. I got a phone call from Mark. It was in the summer. He's like, "Hey, I need your parents on the phone." I'm like, "Okay, why do you want to talk to my mom?" And he's like, "Well, I just got a call from Ottawa, and they want to sign you early."
This is summer?
Yeah, after
Okay.
my third year,
Wow.
because where I advanced to, and I know I jump around, but I'm bringing
Mhm.
back all these memories.
Yeah.
After I was drafted, my third year, at the end of the year, I went down to the American Hockey League.
Mm.
So I got to
Mm.
play 9 games in the American Hockey League after my third year junior, and I went down there, and this is where like the Cody Bass who played against in pro was kind of created. Was Went down there. We had Danny Bois. I don't know if you remember that name at all.
Mhm.
And Danny took me under his wing quite a bit. But I was playing. I had oh man, he was the East Coast guy, the coach that coached Toronto St. Mike's for years.
Stefanski, but
No, he's big. He's still coaching junior hockey. He's the coach I'm thinking. He's got a real tough East Coast accent. Big guy, tall. He coached the St. Mike's majors when we were playing junior.
yeah, now it's starting to ring a bell.
I had him in Ottawa too, but I think he's coaching Ottawa 67s now. Anyways,
Okay.
he was our coach, and I was trying to go down to the American League to play my game, physical, but not knowing every time I blew somebody up, I had someone trying to hunt me down to fight me, right? The jungle. And so there was a time, I think it was my third game, Danny Bois got hit by this D man, this tough D man. And I stepped in and fought this guy and cut him open, did well. And then the guy was pissed. He's like, he didn't know who I was a kid. I was a kid. I was like 18 years old. And we get in the penalty box and we come back out and he's chasing me around the ice for like the rest of the game, trying to go me again. So
You remember who it was?
yeah, I'll look it up. It was a D man, and he's got a brother that played for Montreal
Okay.
years ago. I'll send it to you. And so I fought him twice in one game and did well in both fights. And then I get pulled into the coach's office. He's like, this coach was like, that's who I want you to be. That's who I want. I'm like,
Oh God.
I was like, oh,
Typecasted instantly.
I was like, oh Lord, man. I'm like,
Mhm.
sure. So when I left those 8 games or 9 games, and I went home that summer, a few weeks later, that's when Mark called and he's like, hey, I want to talk to you and your mom. Like, Ottawa wants to sign you. And I'm like, well, what does this mean? They're like, well, it means you're coming into a little bit of money when your family could use it. So we had this long conversation of like, if we wait another year, do I get more bonus? Because the bonus was good. I don't care. It's 50 grand a year. It was 135 spread over 3 years. So, but I'm like, sign
That's a
it.
lot for at that age. That is
Yeah.
might as well be $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And coming from nothing, coming from a low income family, it was great. So I remember when I signed, check came in. My mom took a bunch of my money, but I still had a ton of money to go back to junior, and it was wild.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And then I get traded to Saginaw that year, and it was me and Ryan O'Mara. We had Patrick McNeil, Ryan O'Mara,
Tom Pyatt.
Tom Pyatt. Frig, was he a good little player?
Yeah.
And like Omar, me, like we've already signed. We had a bank account full of money at the time. It was a lot of fun, man. Yeah, a lot of fun.
So why did you go to Saginaw? Because yeah, we didn't make playoffs that year in Mississauga. Was that you were trying to win, trying to get to the Mem Cup? Like, what was the process there?
Yeah, that's a great story too, or great question. Honestly, I think it was. I think I needed a little bit of a change that fourth year. I think just the transition of junior hockey, like every 4 to 6 years, a team should be good. I think we were kind of struggling not making playoffs. I think Saginaw was looking to load up, and don't forget there's that Matt Carente, all that Andrew Hotham, all that stuff that went down that year.
Mm,
And I remember Brownie called me in saying, "Hey, listen, the team has an opportunity here that we think is a good opportunity for you to go to a really good team, and for us to bring in some players that we like as well." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." I mean, I didn't know how it worked, but and then I got a phone call from Mark and Newport and Brownie just being like, "Hey, you got traded to Saginaw," and I think Bob Jones was the coach of Saginaw. No, Sean Camp, and then Bob Jones might have been the GM. I can't remember, but they gave me a call and said, "Hey, pack your bags, let's go." So
and then it was off.
made
Nice.
that drive down to Saginaw, which was an interesting little town, but great rink. We had a good team, but
Mhm.
we're so used to playing in our division there in Mississauga with our teams, but that division was a tough division, like Plymouth
Yeah.
Whalers with James Neal, Jared Bull, Tom Sestito.
Yeah, Sestito. He scored 50 that year, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there was that division was a different beast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So London was always the team. What happened in playoffs that year for you guys? Do you remember?
Yeah, good question. We were, I think we finished first maybe in our division that year in Saginaw. We had a really good team. Ran into a little goalie issues. We ended up facing the Sioux first round. The Sioux was like an 8 seed team,
Mhm.
and they spanked us. Yeah,
Justin Jeffrey just running your show, eh?
pardon me?
Justin Jeffrey just came
Dustin Jeffrey.
online.
Yeah. 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 Jeff he was a good player too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we were supposed to come in there and dominate, and we didn't. I mean, I remember games where we put up 50 shots in junior like that during that playoff run. We couldn't score. Like if I pulled up records, like I bet you the one game we had 54 shots, I think it was, and we only had one goal, which is insane.
Mhm.
And our goalie at the time ran into a little struggles too. So their goalie got hot, ours got cold. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
So
So after the season, you go down to Binghamton again that year?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you're feeling a little bit more comfortable. You're at home. You've been there before. You already have games in the American League. How did that go for you?
Yeah, it was good. It was short. I think that was only a couple games, 3 or 4, I think it was. But it was good. Yeah, good. Kind of prepping me for next life, and I already knew some of the players from before, but we had some meat wagons on that team. So, but it was good. Yeah, short lived there. Binghamton's a tough little town, great little town to
Mhm.
be in, just fan base wise, but it's a tough town.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then kind of went home, trained for the summer, get ready for the next year to actually turn pro.
So that summer right there, where are you training at this point?
Yeah, so I was living at Stephen Legion's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just for the people listening, you were actually living away from home year round. Like you were living in Oakville, just outside Toronto, training in like the pro circuit, the pros at the gym, pro on ice sessions,
Mhm.
gearing up. Are you thinking at this point, I'm playing in the NHL next year, or I'm going to be in the American Hockey League, or I'm just going to work and see what happens? Where
Yeah,
did you like genuinely believe you were meant to be?
this is where I struggled. I don't use the word regret just because I hate that word because in life you make choices. were given the freedom to make a choice, and you live with consequences. I made choices early on to drink and party and do stuff, but I was always, I don't care if I was up till 3 a.m. I was at the gym at 6 a.m. Like,
Yeah.
hungover, drunk. That was my curse. That was a vice that where I messed up in my career. But it was, that summer was like I was partying, having fun, but I was in the gym training. I don't think I ever thought I was coming in to make the Ottawa Senators. I knew they liked me. I knew there was an opportunity there. I thought I did the best to take advantage of that opportunity. I thought I put in the work, but as my career went on, especially when you retire, you look back on it, you're like, there's so much more I could have done. So much more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but I lived with Liege because I moved out as we all did and billeted with families. And then I never really went home. I just, in the summers, I tried to stick around Toronto. And I actually lived with Liege for years, him and his family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just so I could be in that network of the gyms and the quality of players and surround myself with the people that you needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of like those off ice distractions, like, yeah, I love Leach. He was my line mate his draft year with
Yeah,
Luca Caputi. We played on the line the entire season.
yeah.
And Leach is an incredible player, highly skilled, smaller player, but plays like he's 6'6". And he can do a little bit of everything, but he had his demons. And that entire sort of ecosystem where you were living, like you were around a lot of guys who liked sort of the off ice extracurriculars, like the Donati brothers, who were they're 86s, and they are just beyond skilled, so good. And yeah, they just
Probably two of the best junior players to ever live were
oh yeah,
just like
they're like the Sedins of the OHL,
yeah,
those two.
yeah.
Yeah. So you go to Ottawa, you have an okay camp. I feel like that your style, like you could play at the NHL at any time. Those
Mm.
exhibition games, if you bang in a couple, find a way, you get a scrap. It's like, oh, like you could have been on Ottawa. There's always room for a player like yourself,
Yeah,
you know?
that's embracing the role really gave me an opportunity to play. So chip and chase hockey, make a play, physical, fight when I needed to, and don't be a liability.
Mhm.
That's easy. Like
Yeah.
look at Zenon Konopka. Like
Yeah.
a guy like that made a career of winning face-offs, fighting when he had to. Was an ugly player, but had an amazing run for what he just embraced the role and of what they wanted to do. So yeah, I think I had an opportunity to come in and do that for sure. And that first year, that's when I got sent down from camp, and I was a healthy scratch, I think, for the first 7 or 8 games, whatever it was. And I was like, oh, I'm going to the coast. And we had Corey Cluson as a coach. He was a
What was going on there? You guys just didn't bump? Was he like a skilled coach? He valued those players, or
no, he wasn't that at all. Corey had a little small man syndrome, and I feel like, but we had a pretty veteran team um, where he just had so many options. I think our first 10 games we were carrying 30 guys in the locker room because we had veterans, AHL veterans on the team that were going to play. So long story short is finally get thrown into a game, fight, did well, played good
you
minutes.
looking for it there, or were
I was just trying to make a name and
yeah.
get thrown into another game, played back-to-back games, scored a goal, thrown into another game, played well. I think it was like 17 games, 13 or 17. I think I had like 7, 8 points. Like I was like, oh shit,
That's good.
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
And Corey really embraced me at the time. And then I remember my first call up. I remember getting that. It was right after a game.
Were you still at the rink?
Yeah, no, full equipment still. Right
Wow.
after a game, we win. We're all sitting. Corey comes in, gives his post-game speech of like, "Hey, good win, guys." Blah blah blah. Walks away. He's like, "Basser, come see me." So I'm in my full gear still. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? I just had a great game. Like, is he gonna rip me a new asshole here? And pulls me in. He's like, hey, you've been playing really well lately. I'm like, oh, yeah, thanks, appreciate it. He goes, I want to let you know you're going up. I'm like, going up? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, Ottawa called, pack your shit. He's like, there's a car waiting tonight. You're going up tonight. And I'm like, what? Like I was starstruck, like just like shocked. And so there it was. Drove home quickly, packed a bag, and
Were
Ottawa
the
beat
assistant
their
coaches
third
in the
goal.
room? Or is it
Pardon?
like they all knew it was gonna happen and they're just
They all
watching?
knew, yeah, they all knew, but it was just me and Corey in there. And so drove home, packed a bag, met
Wait,
the.
wait, wait. I gotta know more details. So you leave the coach's room and you just walk back into the room. The boys are probably all like, you know how it is after a win. Everyone's kind of loose, music's
Yeah,
going.
no, one of the assistant coaches must have told some of the veteran guys, Justin Mapletoft and them, because they were all kind of walking up to me like, dude, congratulations. Like, and it's like, I don't know how I felt because it was surreal. Like it wasn't real. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you hear it, you're there, it's happening to you, but how do you what do you do? I just finished the game. Energy's high. Like I'm still processing the game in my head of what just happened. Then I'm trying to process this whole conversation of like you're going up to the NHL and what that means. And you can go to camp and you can play exhibition games, but until you actually get that call to go show up on a true regular season game day in the NHL, where media is there, your first game in the NHL, like you don't, it's not the same, right? Until that happens. And so the boys were all excited, and like I said, drove home, packed a bag. We had no airport, so the way you got called up was you drove yourself. There's many times I drove myself, but
You
they
drove to
had
Ottawa that night?
they had a limo for me that night.
How far
Yeah,
is that drive?
7 hours.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not
had to
too
play a
bad.
game the next day.
And then what did you pack?
I packed just a suit and like, and it's so funny, right? Because we got these shitty Jose Banks suits that are like legs are like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not the tight fit like we wear today, but it was like
Yeah.
boot cut suit stuff. And so I packed my suit,
Moors.
a light bag, Morse,
Yeah.
and had practice the next morning. So I kind of slept in the car and got to the hotel, and then basically 2 hours later, I'm at the rink for practice, pregame skate.
Mhm. So at the hotel, when you pull in at night and the next morning, like, do they have an envelope of per diem for you? Is there a schedule? Someone from the team texting you? Like, how do you even know like where to go to enter the rink and all that stuff?
Yeah, we
Someone pick you
get a
up?
call from B. Murr on the way up. Brian Murray just saying, "Hey, welcome, congratulations, we're excited. Get here, show up at the rink. Be like, show up at the rink here at this time." Didn't know where to enter, had no idea. You're just kind of winging it, and took a cab over in the morning to the rink, and kind of just figured it all out. And that's the beautiful part of it, the journey, right?
Yeah.
You just figure it out at that time. We're here nowadays in the last 10 years, you're spoon fed. There's somebody there providing, leading you everywhere. But back then it wasn't like that. You just kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And remember walking down the hallway, walking into the locker room, had all the trainers running up, congratulations, blah, 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 taking my stuff, get pulled into the coach's office, Beamer's there, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. I know this is quick. Is your family coming in? I'm like, no, not a chance. Like, not a chance. So they're like, okay, well, we'll make that happen another time.
Would they have taken care of that for you if you said, oh, you like they kind of want to, but they don't know? Would they have handled that?
They did, yeah. So they most teams are pretty good about it, but that's where we did that games later, where Beamer brought in my mom and stuff like that, paid for that for them to come in and watch a game. So
So who did you play?
Atlanta
At home.
Flash at home.
At home. Okay.
Had Brian McGrattan as a line mate.
And then how'd the game go?
Good. Yeah, it was good. We had John Paddock as a coach. Japes wasn't a very big vocal guy, very, very quiet. Um, but yeah, it was good. I thought I played well. I think I played like 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Easy, not easy, but just starstruck. But like, the whole thing, your first rookie lap and warm up, like the
Helmet or no
team.
helmet?
Oh, shit. I had a helmet. I think I went helmet. Yeah.
Okay.
I think. I can't. Dude, you're asking me questions here. I'm
Man, I
diving.
care about these details. I
Yeah,
really
I'm diving into the memory bank here, which I've been punched in the head quite a bit, so it's hard to think
that
about it.
blows my mind how you can't remember if you did your rookie lap without a bucket or not.
Yeah, no, I can't. I think I wore a bucket. Yeah. But I mean, the team was good. Like the year before I turned pro, they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. The year before, or 2 years before that, they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Like
Mhm,
they had a deep team, and Alfie was a beast, right? As a captain, like Alfie demanded excellence from everybody. And Spez was a star. Gratz was Gratz, but a big name in Ottawa. Brian McGrattan,
mhm,
uh, Ray Emery. Um,
mhm.
we
Any veterans that stick out to you that, like, just welcomed you and made you feel comfortable and like, went out of their way to chat with you and stuff like that?
Yeah, Sean Donovan, who's still there, player development in Ottawa. Sean Donovan, which his name was Chummy. Um, Dean McCammond was there, and Luke Richardson, who I still speak with today because I end up living with Luke, moving him with him and his family, and he's assistant coach here in Nashville now. So though that group and that core was really good. Like you know how it is. The stars stick with the stars, and the plumbers stick with the plumbers, and
Mhm,
then you get your tweener guys that the stars really like and
yeah,
jump. Fish was there, but Fish was quiet. Like Nealer was good to me because he was a Grey Bruce boy, Grey County kid, and I'm from Owen Sound, Grey County, and he's
mhm.
from Flemington. So Nealer was great. Um, yeah, and that was it.
What about practice? So you're there, you're practicing. The thing is, hockey fans, they don't get to see practice, right? And practice is the most magical place because you think you're seeing top end skill in the games, but practice where there's complete freedom, guys are playing the utmost like creative, they're trying things like those star players are just you think you've seen the best, and then you get in practice, it's like, oh my God.
Oh yeah,
Was there any
we had
moments like that where you're like Spezza is a god?
a Spez, but Alex Kovalev.
Oh
Like
man, yo, him.
he's a name today. Like we look back and you have all these announcers talking about skill, and you see a lot of the Nick Lidstrom, CBY, and amazing Hall of Fame that built the game of hockey. But Alex Kovalev couldn't be, in my opinion, one of this truly the most skilled player to ever
Mhm,
play.
mhm,
Like he created the magician of hockey. Him and like Spez doing stuff. Spez had really good skill, but Covey would, and don't forget, this guy was like 6'4" and like 230 pounds. Like this was not a small little Russian guy. Skated upright, had a wicked short stick.
yeah.
Like
The paddle though was like this, like
the paddle was long and it had a real hook on it. But magician, I remember early on. I don't know what game or practice it was, but they had me leading stretch. So I'm leading stretch and I'm kind of staring at Covey, and we're all just stretching. And he's got one hand on his stick, right? And he's playing with a puck, and he's on his knees, and he's all of a sudden he just one hand's on his backhand, and sauces a puck over my head as I'm stretching. One hand backhand, like dude, this guy's wrists were like insanely strong. So that he used to love going around in practice with one hand, and he would do drills at the end of practice with one hand, and he would shoot pucks with one hand on the stick, and the guy was an
yeah.
animal, and he had his pilot license.
Mm.
So, and he drove around in a little mini coupe. So you remember
No
the
way.
movie?
What?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. So he had remember the movie Italian Job with the
Yeah.
mini coupe, Mark Wahlberg? He had a souped up Mini Cooper, and
Mm.
that was his car, and he would just fly around.
And then after games, because he still had a house in Montreal, after games he had a little plane, and he'd just go to Ottawa Airport, fly his plane to like Montreal for a day off, fly back.
Yeah, that must be a Russian thing because my first year in Hartford, Darius Kasparaitis was just at the end of his career, and he finished in Hartford, and he did the same. He would either whip up to New York City in his Bentley, or he had his helicopter license as well.
Yeah,
And speaking of him, he was the first big check I've ever seen. It was his birthday, and he opens his check in the room, and it's $333,000. Get just for those people listening, like, he's getting that every 2 weeks,
yeah, yeah.
$333,000. So these guys, they get 10 or 12 of those. End of the year, it's like, you don't even care. Like,
You don't
money's
care.
you don't even care about money anymore. Like, could
I
you
got a
imagine
funny
a world
story on
like
that
that?
too. So we had Danny Heatley.
Mhm.
Heater was making 10 million. He was the highest paid guy in the NHL at the time. He was making 10 million. Remember Heater scoring 50 goals back to back years, like 3 years in a row. So Heater adopted me really well. He's really good with me. Also because like at the time I like to drink beer and Heater loved to have a good time.
Mhm. So
So I
you're
said,
drink okay. Yep, go on.
so I remember going in my stall one day and pulling out a paycheck, and I just opened it and I'm like, $300,000. What the hell is this? And there's Heater behind the door, kind of laughing. He's like, I think that's mine. And he comes in, he's like, oh damn, they do this all the time. They put my check in the wrong stalls all the time. I'm sorry. And I'm just looking at him like,
Yeah, yeah. Isn't
yeah.
that crazy?
And escrow is at 20%. So like that's what he's netting still. And you're like, amazing. Like,
Mhm.
and it's so funny because like if you break that down a little bit, that gave me hope, right? Seeing those numbers and all those zeros, even though to him he was just playing a joke and having fun, that was like inspirational for me. Being like, holy crap, like guys get paid that much money. You're like, that one check is life changing. One check,
Yeah.
life changing.
Yeah, I played with Wade Redden too. So Wade Redden was with you then?
We're at Reds was
He
there, yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
finished in Hartford when I was there in my second term, and he was making 6 million in the American League, and he took care of the boys all the time. But one thing that stood out to me at the start of the year, he took one of the younger players, rookies, to the mall, and he bought 21 of the top of the line iPads with like the Wi-Fi and everything. And that's what he would give out after a game. Like game-winning goal, in the American League, it was like $50 or something like that. He would put game-winning goal, iPad, trainers, like $1,000 each. So it was pretty cool. But you mentioned one thing real quick, that you said you like to drink beer. So when you were up in the show, you were comfortable enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna go, get a buzz, or like, were you feeling like this was day to day, or were you like, oh, I'm making a home here, like I'm not gonna go back down? Where were you there mentally?
Yeah, no, I was just trying to fit in. I was
Mm,
trying to find my herd. I was trying to be with, the game of hockey is interesting, and you get into a locker room, and if certain guys like you, they'll push for you, and coaches and GMs see certain guys like you, and that actually, whether people want to believe it or not, that helps. You know, in life, being liked, being respected, and having friends can take you a little bit further. So for me, it was just a matter of I liked to have fun. I was laughing. I enjoyed my early career there. Like I was embracing it all. Um, but Heater was great with me. There's a star player, and I'm a young rookie kid, and we'd go for dinners, and Brendan Bell and yeah, Reds was there. So I, I just kind of did what I had to do to make friends and hang out, and
mhm.
it was a good time.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I mean, it's a great point, and not something that that average person would think of, that like that survival
Yeah.
in pro hockey at that level is just not on ice. It's off ice too. The social skills are all part of it. And I've heard, Bissonnette tell the story a few times where I think in Arizona they wanted to send him down, but the star players there at the time were like, no, we need him. He like controls the music and he's just fun to be around. And the GM's like, oh, all right, I guess he's staying up.
It's amazing how certain things like that go, and I know I jump around here, but I had a bunch of injuries in Ottawa too, right? I would miss time. And so it became like, so like Alfie, the captain, he was a perfectionist in everything he did. Like he's a guy too, I don't think gets enough credit for his career and who he was, but he was a guy in camp as a star captain would come in, and we had squat tests back then, and he would lead, like he was like 500 pounds, right? Like there's your star player being like, no, this is my team. I'm going to be number one in everything I do.
Yeah.
So like ping pong, big hockey post practice thing, right? He was the best ping pong player. Tennis, the best. So when I got hurt, I would come in and, or even like healthy scratches, there would be workouts on the board. And the biggest challenge we had that year was like a 500 calorie bike ride. And it was like, who can do it? Who can get 500 calories in the fastest time? So I had that, like I was like up there at the top. And I come in one day and it's just my name scratched out and it's like Alfie. And he beat me by like 80 seconds or a minute, whatever it was, right? Just, I'm like, oh, what? And Alfie loved that stuff. But there's your true leader, right?
Yeah.
Like sees someone doing something, like, well, I'm going to push you to do better because I'm going to beat it. And he was like that on the ice. He was like that in the locker room. You walk by Alfie and you just kind of nodded and just like, morning. It was almost like morning, sir, kind of thing. Like he was he had that presence, you know? So.
Man, I love that. So you were up and down, right? Once you got that call up, it seemed like your elite prospects, you kind of split the season there. Was that because injury? Did something happen to your shoulder? Am I remembering this correctly?
My first year was I was up and down no matter what, just call up kid, right? But I was up and down, had a good amount of time. And then I had a weird ankle surgery my first year. I tore what they called a retinaculum, and basically it started with lace bite, and the lace bite turned into an open wound ulcer. And then I tore this sheet called your retinaculum. So, and so I missed a bunch of time, but I was up there. I just like kept trying to play, and then I would come in after a practice or a game, and my sock would be drenched in red blood.
Was it painful?
It was lace bite, yeah. So I had the donuts and everything, but I had this weird ulcer cut where the lace bite was. And I would come in after a practice or a game, and my sock would be beet red, covered in blood. But I didn't know it. It just would just leak. And it was leaking, like, I can't pronounce it, but synovium fluid, which is tendon fluid. So long story short, I kept trying to play through, and the trainers were like trying to figure out what to do. And they cut me off. They said, okay, you're done. You're going to go in, have a quick little surgery, and we're going to put you in a walking boot and a cast for like 4 weeks to allow that skin and everything to heal up. We need that skin to heal up, or you're going to get an infection and all this stuff. So I missed a bunch of time. And as that went on, I was living in a hotel, and you can only, per the CBA, you can only be in a hotel for X amount of days straight before the team has to tell you to find a place to live. So I was kind of coming back from my injury, and then I get a bill from the team for $3,500. And I'm like, what is this? They're like, well, one of the accountant guys, like, US $3,500. I'm like, for what? They're like, well, you're in the hotel still. I'm like, well, nobody told me to go find a place to live. So we had remember Mike Commodore? We had Mike Commodore too. All these names are popping in my head. Mike Commodore, a couple other guys I talked to, Reds, and I showed them. They're like, no, this isn't right. So they went into like Beamer's office. We're like, hey, like, what are you doing charging Cody $3,500? He's living in a hotel. And they're like, yeah, we messed up. Like, we can't pay it per the CBA. We'll reimburse him somehow, but he's got to go find a place to live. Near the end of the season, so I moved in with Luke Richardson. Him, Steph, Morgan, and at the time, Darren was there.
How did that happen? Did he hear about this and he came and said, hey, Cody, just come with me?
Yeah. So Luke was on like his 16th year, 17th year pro, insane. And he heard, he's like, just move in with me. There's only like a month left in the season. Just come live here. So end up moving in with Luke and the family.
And he had kids at the time, right? And I think something happened to his daughter.
Yeah, Morgan was the oldest, Darren's the youngest, and Darren, Darren, the following year took her own life. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember. Again, like you and I haven't talked in, I don't know, years and years and years, but I sensed it from what you were posting and stuff. There was something there.
Yeah.
So yeah. So your career, so like you finished your entry level in Ottawa and you were up and down, and then they sign you again, right?
Yep.
And then you okay, go on.
Burn Pro, went through everything we just talked about. Moved in with Luke. Nick Foligno was drafted the year before.
Mhm.
So Nicky comes in to Ottawa after his junior year. I'm coming back from my injury, and we're playing Pittsburgh in the first round of playoffs.
Mhm.
And I played a couple games at the end there, and got to play in NHL playoffs and scored a goal in the NHL playoffs. Which was cool. But that's when like Sid was there, Gary Roberts was there, and then me and Nicky were kind of in and out of the lineup.
You guys are similar players. Were you guys competing for that role?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you were buddies off the ice?
A little. No, we were close. Like Nicky and I were like we were hanging out all the time. Like Nicky and I were close when we were there. And I mean, Nicky could do it all. I think later in his NHL career, he embraced more of the physical aspect of what genetically he has in him. But early on, he was more focused on skill and scoring and stuff like that. And kind of like what the game can do to you, it can transition you into something else. And I think that Nicky's career has been amazing. And but early on, he was like a skill guy.
Okay, so bring us along on this story. Like you finish up your entry level deal. You're pretty much, yeah, you're 50-50 at this time, up and down, or are you more NHL?
No, I was about 50-50. So my entry level stuff. So let's jump forward. Next year, go to camp in Ottawa, get sent down right away, up and down again, recall, fight Eric Nystrom, dislocate my shoulder in Calgary, have shoulder surgery. So I missed a bunch of hockey my first year to my ankle. My second year, I had my first shoulder labrum surgery.
So who's bumping you out in Ottawa at this time? Like, who are you fighting with?
I don't know.
Were you aware at the time though? Like, oh, it's pretty much between, me and.
Yeah, they didn't really have that fourth line center spot kind of locked in. It was like a Dean McCammon, Sean Donovan type. Like the healthy scratches every night was kind of like Sean. The odd Dino was pretty much a veteran, but he was in and out, and me. We kind of rotate like that. But at my second year, when I got sent down from camp, they're just like, you didn't have a good camp. Go down and find your game. And found it, played well, but up and down. And then I think that second year in the minors where I was like full piss and vinegar. Like I had confidence. Like I had Jeremy Yablonski, Danny Blastil. Like I had confidence, Like I dealt with the guys I had to deal with, knowing that I had Yabo, Matt Karkner, and other guys to deal with. So I was like playing hard, physical, but fighting, doing anything and everything I could to figure out a way to get back up top. And that's what I did. But my issue there was too, I got so caught up with like trying to look for fights too, so like I remember Chris Neal talking to me. And he goes, I'm like, hey, Neil, like, how do I get in the lineup a little bit more instead of being like, I want to be the guy. Like, what do I need to do? I remember Neil looking at me being like, and I keep cursing here, but he's like, you do whatever you effing have to. He's like, don't let me take your job. Don't let that guy take your job. Yeah, they're your teammates. But you want to play in the NHL and you want to make a living. He's like, you need to have the mentality. You don't let that guy take your job. And I'm sitting there being like 20 at the time, 21, being like, wow. And that's the way Nealer was. I mean, he made a career like that. So that was kind of mentality I took with me. But the problem with, I was always trying to figure out a way to get on the game sheet, trying to figure out a way to like get noticed, and playing 2 minutes a night in the NHL. You're like, I'm losing out on, some good growth as a player. Like I could be down in the minors playing 15. You get called, you're playing 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the coach wanted you to play. And Ottawa was kind of a rebuilding section, but I got caught up with trying to look for fights all the time. And anyway, so I ended up fighting Nystrom that year and dislocated my shoulder, and I missed the whole rest of the year. I was done.
See, hearing that, and Pastor, like I totally understand what you're saying, because in my own journey trying to get called up and fit in, at one point I was looking for fights too, just to get on the game sheet. It's like you can't have 0 shot, 0 PIMs, no points. Like, a fight is like, okay, I'm guaranteed to play next game at the very least.
Yeah.
But I wish at some point, I feel like it's management's responsibility or coach to be, hey, we see you, but we actually don't need you to do that. We just want you to do this. And in our generation, I don't know what it's like now, but the communication lines between what they want and what you think they want there was nothing. There was nothing. It was this game of like, I'm going to try doing this. We'll see if my ice time changes. Oh, it went the other way. Okay, I'm going to start playing this way or that way. And you're just really guessing. I feel like players would just have such an easier time figuring it all out if the management just said, hey, we love when you play this way. Play this way every night. We don't care about scoring or this or that or fights. Just do this. That's what we need. Did that ever happen for you?
Yeah, a little bit. So I think it was my 3rd game in the NHL. We played Atlanta. We played a game, or maybe it's 3rd or 4th. We went into Atlanta and played there. Okay. And I remember being on the bench. Jim Slater just ran over Reds, blew him up. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the bench, and TV timeout, scraping the ice, whatever. And John Paddock grabs me in the back. He's like, go out there and take care of him. And I'm like, what? He's like, go out there and fucking take care of him, but don't take a penalty. I was like, okay. So face off in Atlanta zone. I come in and I'm barking at Jim Slater. I'm barking at him. He's my centerman. I'm like, we're going, we're doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up fighting Jim Slater. That was my first NHL fight. And I won. And that's where I had more, that's where Japes and management were like, oh, maybe this kid can do something. Now that to me, like fighting for me was a lot of it was acting. I was scared shitless every time I did it.
And most people are.
Like most people. And then it's kind of like anything in life, it's repetition. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get. Okay. And as my career got on, I became more comfortable with it. And I wasn't nervous. It was almost like relaxing. It's almost like I couldn't wait as the career went on in the minors when I was playing in the jungle or the up top was like, let's get it out of the way so I can go focus on playing hockey.
Yeah.
And that's the wrong mindset. That destroyed me. It's terrible. It's wrong because every game you're going into it just wanting to get it out of the way so you can just focus on playing. So yeah, anyway, that's where, and all that happened, and then entry level finished, re-signed a 2-way deal. So now I'm on year 4, right? Entry level 3, year 4, spent the whole year in the minors.
What was up with that?
They brought in Zdeno Konopka. I remember that summer. I was looking at signing the deal, and we were pushing on some numbers, and they signed me, and then they signed Zdeno Konopka, and I was like, "There's their centerman, right?" Pushed down. We brought in Jesse Winchester too from college. They loved Winchy. Winchy, I think, is still part of the organization. So they had Winchy, they had Flino that was kind of set. They brought in Konopka, and I was like, I just got pushed down. I got pushed down to just be the recall guy that if they needed someone, they can call me up. So I played that whole year, and then that following year was the year I had an opportunity to explore other options, become a free agent.
Can I just ask you before we go on into that? So you're in the American League. 2 questions here. Kanopka's a face-off specialist. Everybody knows this. Your center is increasing your face-off capability and skill something that was on your radar? Did it ever like were you ever like, I'm gonna become a face-off craftsman and
Yeah.
just work on that?
Dude, I got so caught up with just everyday life of just, I think for me, like practices in the jungle, like it's not what it was. It's not what it is today. Like every day was a war, right?
Mhm.
And when you had in the American League at the time, like it's not like I didn't have a desire to, after a 90-minute practice, to
Yeah,
go focus on skills. I was exhausted,
yeah,
because every like physical battles, hard practice, bag skates, because that's what the jungle kind of was at the time, was, beat you up, condition you. And if you didn't have a good team, coaches there were on power trips in that league and they just kill you every single day.
yeah.
So like where I messed up was that's the stuff I should have been focusing on, was like, okay, get through this practice, but I got to figure out a way to, there's a guy there that I think I can take his job. So, cause he's making millions and I'm making whatever, 650 or 700, what it was when I get called up. And, no, that's the stuff I should have focused on. And I didn't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, you're there, you've been up, but you're in this place you don't really wanna be there. What was your mentality like? Were you typically like a positive person, like, "I just need to keep working," or were you kinda like, "Yeah, coach, this management, they just don't see, I should be there." Like, where were you? Positive,
Yeah,
negative?
no, I was pretty good, man. I was pretty good like that. I tried not to play the sympathy card, or just like, people are out, I'm getting screwed. Like I later on in my career, I think when I switched over to Columbus, I got that attitude a little bit, but that last year with Binghamton and Ottawa, I didn't have that yet. I almost really didn't understand it. I was just playing hockey.
Yeah.
Um, I knew I made a bunch of money for me my first couple of years with call ups and injuries, and I was just kind of like, well, I'm okay. If that's meant to be, it's meant to be. It's not the right attitude to have, but that's kind of where I was my fourth year. I was a little deflated when, they had Winchy and Kanopka. And this is the mentality I think I didn't understand. And, I do now. But every year there's new guys.
Yeah.
Every year there's new players. And I don't think kids actually understand that. Like, you're a kid, unless you're a first round pick, you're not set in anything. Like, if you're a second round and below, like, there's opportunities, but you're not set. And I think what people need to understand, going back to what Chris Neal said to me, was like, don't let that guy take your job, you know? And every year there's new guys, every single year. And if you don't learn to embrace that and actually know who these guys are to outwork them and do better than them, you're screwed. You're
Yeah.
just going to get bumped down the ladder, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's just the game. You're chasing the elite status. Like, you can't do it. Well, I'll find somebody else that can,
Yeah.
because this guy will. You know.
I feel like we've talked for over an hour and haven't mentioned Bobby Ryan because he came on the scene too, and he was another OHL guy. Owen Sound he played in, and he was just another player that stood out to me in the like, oh yeah, another universe, this kid. So when did you switch organizations?
Yeah. So after my fourth year, signed with Columbus. Chris McFarland, Scott Housen, everybody really liked my game. Came into camp. First year, Sean Arneal was a coach for Columbus. And I remember getting a call from Chris McFarland, who was the assistant GM at the time, called me being like, hey, listen, we're happy to sign you. We're excited for you. You got Brad Larson in the minors and Jared Bednar in the minors, Nolan Pratt. Those guys are in Colorado. And so I go to camp, and I actually came in early. Yeah, I went like 3 weeks early, got a hotel, kind of, again, finding friends, making a name for myself. Had a decent camp, and first exhibition game was against Winnipeg. And that was Winnipeg's first game back in Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I had 3 fights in the first 2 periods and kicked out of the game.
No way.
Well, you had Dustin Bufflin that ran over Derek Brassard the first shift of the game. And he had me
You
and
fought
Dane.
Buff? That
So I tried to.
okay.
It wasn't much of a fight, dude. I was riding a bull. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
then me and Dane Byers jump on the ice to go after Buff. And I end up getting matched with him. And it was just, dude, I was just riding a bull, just hanging on for dear life. Like, and, but then it was like, sat in the box for 5 minutes, get out, play a shift. My next shift, my second shift, I got Troy Bodie chasing me down. So I ended up fighting Troy Bodie, go back in the box, come back out, play my second shift after that too. Patrice Cormier chased me down. So I had 3 fights before the 10-minute mark of the second period, played like 3 shifts, and then I'm kicked out of the game.
I mean, hey, that's one way to go out.
Wow, what an experience. Like, first game in Winnipeg, like, for the expansion team to come back, the team to come back. The building's electric. Amazing. And so it's so funny. I remember the next day, we flew back that night, practice the next day, and I had Sean O'Neill come up to me. He's like, hey, he's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He's like, I loved what you did. But he's like, I need to see you play.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I get it. I'm just, but he's like, you made a name for yourself. Like, we're all talking about the heart, the passion, and your ability and willingness to just do whatever for the team.
Yeah.
And that to me is like the first step, getting some trust and some respect. And then after that, figure it out. But they had Derek Dorsett, they had Jared Boll. Like, I was fighting a battle. And these guys are good players too. So, but yeah, that's when, and then I spent 3 years up and down between Columbus and Springfield. And that's when I played you. You were in Hartford.
Yeah. Columbus. So Columbus, you say, and Springfield. Springfield was with Columbus at the time. Like
Yeah.
they were like, okay. So you signed a 3-year deal.
I signed a 1-year deal and a 2-year deal.
A 1-year deal and a 2-year deal. Okay. And then somehow you ended up in Nashville's organization.
I ended up signing a year with Chicago. I spent the whole year in Rockford. So that I was kind of still like, me at the time when I was looking at switching, me, Steve Pinizzato, remember Pinner?
Oh yeah.
Pinner was a good player, Washington, and we became free agents after my 3rd year with Columbus together, and a bunch of teams were chasing us down of like great recall guys. So I had a bunch of options that year to look at, and Chicago, LA, Pittsburgh, Wilkes, and I ended up chasing a little bit more money in the minors, which was Chicago. So I signed with the Hawks, went in the camp, sent down, just spent the whole year there. And then after that year is when I signed with Nashville.
So you were chasing money in the minors, and yeah, that's totally fair. Were you like kind of content with your career, or were you like, no, I still want to be a full-time NHL player and play another 10 years in the league?
Yeah, no, I was okay with, I was still wanting to be in the NHL. I still knew I could play a role, and the transition of the game was changing drastically at the time. But, I remember getting a phone call from Paul Fenton at Nashville, assistant GM, and Dino, who was a coach in the A in Milwaukee, and Peter Laviolette. So that summer, I had a couple options, and I was trying to figure out, where do I want to sign? So this is a year after I was in Rockford, free agent again, looking for a contract. And I had a couple of teams calling me. And then I wasn't actually going to sign with Nashville because the American League money was low for me compared to what other options I had. And I got a phone call from Peter Laviolette, the coach of the Preds. And Lavi called me, and he's like, basically like, I want you in my organization. He's like, you come in, do what I want you to do. You're going to play here. And he's like, I was in Philly. I love Zach Ronaldo. Like, I see you as somewhat like a Zach Ronaldo.
You tapping? I can hear you.
What's that?
You can hear the tapping on the table.
Oh, sorry. He's like,
Oh,
I can see you being a Zach Ronaldo for me here in Nashville. He's like, I loved him as a player. And so I said, screw it. So talked to my agent, said, yeah, I'll take the less money. Let's give it a shot. Go to camp and played well. Get sent down. But this was like, you talk about communication between management and players.
Mhm.
This was the first year I actually had communication out of all the years. I remember getting sent down to lab. He's like, hey, you're going down. We need to figure some stuff out up here. You had a great camp. I want you to go down, work with Dean and the coaches and keep building your game, but I don't want you to change. He's like, I want you to be a physical animal. He's like, whatever that means, like, I just want hard hockey. If you have to fight, you have to fight. He's like, but just be hard all the time. And that's what I did. I went down and Dean was an amazing coach for communication that way. Dean, and who's now in Columbus, like open door. If you had a bad game, he'd call you in and you have a quick chat kind of thing. Like communication was straight line, easy. And then I get a recall to Nashville. And I'm up and down all year and playing well. And then we played Anaheim first round of playoffs that year. And I was playing like 14, 15 minutes a night with Labby. Because I was leading the league in face-off percentage first round of playoffs. And was playing well, like really well. To the point of like the next series was the last game when we beat out Anaheim, I blew out my MCL. Took a run at a guy, missed him, leg hit, MCL gone. It is what it is. And but we moved on to play St. Louis. But like I was playing, man. Like I was like setting my career up, and then boom, MCL went. And that was like we go on to play St. Louis. I tried to come back, couldn't really do it, and the season ended. But like, if I would have played in that St. Louis series, that's when I really truly believe I would have signed my first one-way contract because I was playing. I was actually an NHL player. Did you play in the NHL or were you an NHL player? At that time in my life, I was like, I'm an NHL player. Mm-hmm. And then we get into contract negotiations. Poyle didn't want to give me a one-way. So he gave me a two-way contract for 2 years. Signed a 2-year deal. I had some bonus structures in there, and then again up and down, but then more injuries happened. So blew out my hamstring, which could have ended my career. That's the year they went on the cup run. So yeah, spent 3 years there, up and down, and then my last year I thought I was done. Get a phone call from Chris and Joe in Colorado, and they're like, hey, where are you at? Where's your body? I'm like, I still got some hockey in me. He's like, will you come in to Loveland and be a leader for us in the minors? So I signed my last year was an AHL deal. I came into camp as a PTO tryout, Colorado, and they signed me to an American League deal.
Where was the team located at the time?
Loveland, Colorado. It's like an hour and a bit.
Is that where they are now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you still with the organization?
No. So I when I was done with them, Chris and Joe hired me as a pro scout. So I did 4 years of pro scouting. Mm-hmm. And during that time, I funded a real estate company. So I was doing both, and then had some life-changing stuff happen, and I couldn't travel anymore. It's a lot of travel.
Did they train you for that? Did they say, this is how you evaluate a player? This is what we're looking for?
A little bit. So you get in. It's so funny because it's not funny, but I'm so blessed. Like I look back on everything you talk about it. Like I'm so blessed and grateful for what the game gave me. Like I messed up on times, and I could have done more. We always could have, but hockey gave me such a kickstart to life. And then moving into the transition to being behind the door meetings with management, GMs, contracts, scouting, amazing experience, like incredible and cutthroat, because you hear everything of what's going on, right? Oh, this guy, no, he's done. He'll never play another game for us. Never. Keep him in the minors. You're like, what? Like, we don't even know. No. We don't even know what this kid could be. No, he'll never play. You're like, holy crap. So did they prep me? It was more or less like in the meetings, you learn the identity of the team. And it's on you. Like you learn what coaches want, what Chris and Joe want, and then you get kind of like your roster, you get your pick, or you get your potential for either UFA signings that you got to follow. You have to build your book of business, because it's a book of business that I'm building for me, in my opinion. That's the best part. It's an opinionated job.
So
And
tell me about that. What does that mean exactly?
yeah, so it's like when you scout, yeah, you got to learn team identity, but every single night you have your kind of like your restricted free agents, okay, and then you have your potential UFAs, and then usually you get a list from the GMs of like, hey, here's like top secret lists of some trades that we're looking at and some players that we may be able to bring in. And then it's also like, but I had free will. Chris and Joe gave me free will to write on anybody I wanted. So some teams do it differently. Some teams are like, you only write on your team. So if you have Florida Panthers and that's your team, but Nashville isn't, you come in and you just write on the Florida Panthers players. I had the free will and trust from Chris and Joe and our organization to write on whoever we wanted. So like when I go watch NHL games and American League games, it's certain you have to write on young kids, because you have to start building that book of business for the years. You have to write on first round young kids. You have to usually write on some UFAs potential that are coming up, contracts are ending. And other than that, you're writing reports, man. Like you're writing and learning these players' habits, and it's kind of like it's an opinionated job. So I had certain things that I looked for as a scout, and you would have your own things that you would look for. That's the best part of the job. And the challenging part is for upper management, GM and assistant GM, to piece all that together with an analytical department and see how it all lines up.
Okay. So you said you have things that you look for. There's just some stuff that stands out to us. When you go to a game, do you already know who you're going to look at, or do you just watch hockey and say, "Oh, I like that player. They just stand out to me," and then you sort of break them down that way?
Yeah, that's a good point. So this is where I get excited to talk about this stuff. Is when you're scouting, you're not watching hockey. It's so crazy. Like I'd come home and my wife would be like, "How's the game?" And I'd be like, "Oh, couldn't tell you, but I can tell you how this player was." Make sense? How was the game? I missed the game because you're so focused. Like when those players are on the ice, like I look for pro movements. Okay, like I wanted like young kids to act like a pro and play like a pro. What was their train of thought? Where they're thinking? Where were they moving around the ice? I always had this mentality of like young kids. Every kid is so skilled. Every kid is talented now. It's kind of like, when you and I were growing up playing, like the NHL was they were looking for skilled guys, right? Where was the next Jason Spezza or whoever? Like,
Yeah.
we need that. When nowadays it's like, where's the next Zach Ronaldo, Derek Dorsett? Every kid is skilled and talented. So when I would watch these young kids now, and whether I was doing the American League, the NHL, or some college, it's like, I think every kid is talented, but I always look for the roots of like what I knew. Hard work, brains, reliability, consistency, pace, skating, because our Colorado Avalanche identity is pace. Like training camp, everything's conditioned and paced. And it's kind of like where they win in their battles, where they challenged at times during the game, how they faced that adversity, whether it's man-to-man adversity, whether they took a dumb penalty, did they just go and feel bad and pout. Like the mental side of the game is the stuff that I really looked at, and also consistency of pro movements. I think making plays, like if you're playing at the NHL level, you can make a play. The GMs and teams don't have you there if you can't make plays. Okay, he made a great breakout pass. Well, good. You're effing expected to. Like, don't care. Like, okay, where'd you go after that? Did you make a breakout pass? Then you got your butt up the ice and you're jumping into the play, or did you just sit back? Like, those are the stuff that I would look for all the time, And it was good. It was like my career was fun. The 4 years of scouting was awesome. Getting phone calls from GMs, on July 1st, phone calls from Joe starting at 5 a.m. or whatever it was, like having those big conversations, big trade talks.
Was there anyone who you discovered along your way and you're like, I love this kid. I love this kid. I want this kid to make it. He's my guy. I will be fighting for him at the round table.
Yeah, it's funny because I think Chris and Joe leaned on me quite a bit for bottom 6 players and American League recall players. And then when it came to like a big trade, like it's a round table conversation, but those decisions are made at the top because those are like you make a big signing for a 6-year deal, 8-year deal, or you trade a top player for a GM, that's life or death. If you hit that wrong, you're screwed. You're canned. So like it was fun. Like the Brandon Saad deal was a deal that I had a big part in. We had who else? Some minor league stuff. Bringing in Eric Condra in was great. It was a part of a bunch. McDermott, just because we were looking for at the time. The Avs were looking for a tough guy to come in, and I was like, let's bring in Dermy from LA. Why not? We had the best at the time. We had Mikko, Nate, and Gabe. We had the best line in hockey. Let's bring in one of the biggest bears in hockey to protect them. And it worked out. Dermy got to win a cup, and we all got to win. So there's a bunch of trades that we were a part of that. It was great. We had a small staff. We only had 5 pro scouts too, which is where the Avs were one of the smallest pro scouting staff. Which basically every decision was kind of made as our small group, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out how does it work with the scheduling? So you're a full-time scout, or is this you were doing this on the side of your real estate business?
Yeah,
We'll talk about
I was part-time, but there is no part-time in hockey. But even part-time, I would do around 9 to 12 games a month, mixed between NHL, American League, and at my first year, I did some college stuff too.
So you're flying to these places, or are you driving?
Flying and driving. Like if you're a full-time pro scout, so like Dalton Prout's a good buddy of mine. He works for Florida, but if you're full-time guys, you're doing 20 games a month. You're on the road 3 weeks a month. Now we were blessed being in Nashville because my NHL teams, I had the Central Division, so I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone by going to a Preds home game by getting Nashville and Chicago, right? So I get both my teams playing each other all the time. So with Chris and Joe, and they were great with me doing real estate because money in scouting was nothing, it was awful. But I made money, my real estate business took off. So trying to juggle both was awesome, but I always say there's no part-time in hockey, dude. Like I was a part-time scout, but I did way more and gave them way more than what a part-time guy does. I remember there's months I was doing 16 games a month just because same thing as when you played. I had their trust. They really enjoyed my reports. We had really good dialect and conversations. And Chris and Joe would call, be like, "Hey, I need to send you here. Like, can you go follow this guy around in California? I'm like, that's not my teams. He's like, no, we want your opinion on it. Go follow. And then they would send me to like college. And then I remember they sent me in the junior one year for playoffs. Like, hey, we're looking at some junior. They're looking at making a trade. Can you go follow these kids in London, Kitchener, and Ottawa? And I'm like, I haven't seen a junior game since I played junior, Yeah. But yeah, it was awesome. It's a lot of fun.
So did you have your eyes on climbing the ladder? Because I feel like if to get into that management, that's sort of the path. You become a reliable scout, and then if your GM likes you, he brings you along on as his part of his sort of entourage.
Yeah, I had some pretty good conversations with management of just being like, and that's it's a business, right? So within business, you're having meetings with your staff, me being like, what do you want? And I told them, I'm like, I'm not going to be a pro scout forever. I'm like, I want more. I want to be upper management. I want to be a part of really making decisions in everyday hockey life. The problem I had was I went through a divorce and I had custody battles and stuff, and I couldn't travel anymore. So after we won the cup, that's when all kind of stuff was going down, and I had to make a decision to walk away, just because it's custody of my child and stuff was more important than traveling for hockey. And I make all my money in real estate. So my real estate business is the provider for my financial side of my life.
Is there a world where you thought about coaching, like say American League, Eagles, being involved in that way where you could still be, I mean, you're not at home, but you're kind of at home?
Yeah, dude. I thought about that a lot over the last couple of years, and I've had opportunities to look into it. For me, leaving a business that I've built that financially is really good for me,
Mhm.
to go move out of Nashville, to go rent a house in the American League somewhere and make 60 grand. Just it's a dumb decision for me. And, but it's something internally, like,
Yeah. I forgot too. I'm thinking like you're leaving home. I forgot you're in Nashville. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, that's pretty unless you got in with the Preds, I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
yeah. And the Preds, like I had some conversation with David and Brian Poyles, and then Barry Trotz came in, but it was, it was kind of one of those things where it's like there wasn't an opening for me there.
Mhm,
Wish there
mhm.
was, but I'm still pretty close with like Scott Nickel in Nashville and stuff like that. But I could have had opportunities to be part of American League organization on a coaching staff. It just couldn't do it.
Yeah, yeah, timing. And the thing is, dude, we're still young, we're not it might sometimes feel like we're old. We're about the same age, and
Yeah,
we still have half of our lives at least to live, and a lot can change in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, the only reason I say this because when you started talking about the scouting, I saw you light up, like something turned on inside of you. I could tell it's a passion of yours,
it's
the
fun, man. It brought new life to the game of hockey for me, and it's kind of I just love. I love like the way my brain. It's funny. The older we get, and it's cliche, but the older we get, more mature we get, the more we understand life, right? And life is beautiful. And it's like hockey was, for an example, like my new. I'm remarried, but my new wife's like, why don't you have any hockey? Like, why don't we have anything hanging in the bonus room? And
Mhm,
and I'm like, those memories are up here for me. I don't need to flaunt it. Like, the career was such a battle of a career. I had 8 surgeries, multiple concussions, 100+ fights, the everyday grind, uh, the the hard conversations, being yelled at every day by coaches or whatever. Like the stuff that we didn't really touch on, because I mean we've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes here, but it's like I look back on them like hockey was God gave me the game as a kickstart to life. That's the way I look at my mentality now. The game's a game and it's temporary. It's not. It doesn't last forever. And I know a lot of hockey guys that NHL career superstars that made millions, and they're struggling with life after hockey.
mhm,
They're struggling trying to find an identity because it's a military style. When we played, it was right. Break you down, build you up, build you mentally the way that every organization or coach wanted you. And so I'm extremely grateful, man. I thank my blessings every single day for what hockey gave me, and it gave me a true kickstart, and actually built me into what I like to say, the hard times of my life built me into who I am today. And I'm
mhm.
very, very comfortable in my life right now, man. I love who I am. I love what I do. I love the game of hockey. I wish the scouting. I wish I could figure a way to get back into it, but travel and life and timing isn't working. And
Mhm,
yeah, kind
mhm.
of.
Do you feel like you have to be in person to watch games to assess a player?
Yeah, so we during COVID we were doing on a lot of the games online, just with no fans, um, which was hard. Hard to really have, hard to get to know players, because that's the biggest thing too. Is like when you work in that side of the business, you got to look at it as in like when you're a scout, you're almost like an independent contractor. You're almost like a 1099. You're on your own. It's a lonely life, man. You're flying into Chicago, you're hitting a Hawks game, and then that night you're probably driving to Rockford, and then you're catching Rockford the next day. And after that, you're driving to Milwaukee on Sunday. Like you're alone all the time, all the time. And you're in your own head and you're trying to figure out players and write reports. And also you got to make sure that the reports are clean and clear, where when the analytic team or the upper management's going through and looking at reports on a player, because they don't read everything, but they're reading the players that they're looking into. How does your book line up? It's like you're an independent contractor. You're by yourself. So
Mhm,
it was kind of like it was challenging, man, but it was fun to be able to leave my stamp and put my view of players and what I like as a player and watch an organization make a trade, or the American League make a trade, or whatever the case may be. It was a lot of fun. Like I enjoy it. And it's also a tough business to get into, where I was very grateful and blessed for Chris and Joe to give me an opportunity, because when we won a cup, we had a scout, Terry Martin. Terry was a coach, but Terry was in pro hockey for 40 years between playing, coaching, and scouting. And he's won one Stanley Cup. And I won that. I was able to get that in my third or fourth year scouting. That man was in hockey for 40 years. When I remember the night we got our cup rings, and this man just broke down. And you're like, here's a guy that's been in the game so his whole life. Like, you get these lifers, man. It's a very tough business to get involved in. And when I stepped away, I closed that door. Like, it was tough. It was tough because I had an opportunity to really build and be a part of something. And like you said, but timing in life just didn't allow it. But you get into that, you get scouts that do it for 30 years that don't leave. You know? So
Okay, so I know this is the longest episode yet, but I want to ask you a couple more things before we finish. So now the world of AI, I had a company approach me and test out their player assessment AI tool. You basically upload the video and it breaks it down for you. My sort of job was to say, is this legitimate or not? Did you use AI at all? Like, here's all my notes. Can you just format this in a nice way to keep my book looking proper?
yeah.
There.
So analytics in every NHL team are growing. Carolina spends the most on their analytical department. The Avs hired a guy to New York years ago, and basically he came in and built like their own analytical department system, which is like proprietary for them. I never used it. The analytics and AI can do so much, but it can't. It's still flawed. You're still missing the human nature of life. Like, yes, analytics and AI would be great, but does that really spit out someone's character or tell you the fight or flight in them? Are they the guy that you're in a locker room that you want to go to war with? You know, so I think it's advancing. I think a lot of teams, but AI is also very expensive. Like, the amount of money Carolina spends on their systems, there's a reason why they only have 4 or 5 pro scouts. They can't afford it, right? So I never used it, but I think it's advancing. I think it's going to take over a lot of stuff. But I do believe the old school GMs and the GMs that they understand there's still a human eye element that is needed to really figure it out.
Yeah. The AI thing, like you touched on it, the human nature, there's some stuff that maybe one day it'll pick up on it, but I'm just thinking, sitting, something as trivial as a men's league bench and a player sitting next to me and him just a negative presence, like, oh, D, they're just they can't break the puck out, or just like, like, we don't need that. I mean, it might be true, but like, that energy is creating why the team's melting down or breaking down or not playing well. It's just like, you get a couple players like that all sitting next to each other, and all of a sudden that cancer just grows. But there's one player who starts it.
Yeah.
And yeah, these players who you referred to, that the ultimate leaders, Alfredson or whoever it was, like, they're not bringing that energy to the table ever.
No.
So,
Accountability is a real word I live my life on, and I grew up. You got to hold yourself accountable, but holding others accountable in the right way. The true, real good leaders know their approach. You just can't come in, and this is where I messed up at times, and I think we all have. But you can't just come in and rah, yell, point fingers. Like, the true leaders really internally know how to approach every situation. Like Crosby's he's the best player to ever live, in my opinion.
same. I love him.
You can't, watching his interviews, and for us being similar age and watching him grow and us growing with him in his career, even though we're on the outside. It's the Connor McDavid thing's amazing. Elite skill. How do you not put Sid? I mean, the guy's the most humble man and stern leader. And then early on in his career, like, oh, he's bitching on the ice. Yeah, he's not bitching, dude. He's a target every single night he used to step on the ice. When the game was, he grew up with us. Like the game was vicious. It's like
Mhm.
you used to go on the ice. I'd go on the ice wanting to hurt people, right? Like, and if you get a chance to take a run at Sid to hurt him to make a name for yourself, you would do it.
Yeah.
Now it's not like that anymore. But um, it's yeah, leaders. He to me, I'm a fan of Sidney Crosby. Like I think he is elite in everything he does. His interviews, his communication, his demeanor, his game. He's going to go down. He will be. He is the greatest player to ever play hockey, in my opinion. And
Squeaky
everything.
clean too, like just off ice life, impeccable record.
Yeah. How do you beat that? Right. Those are the stuff. Those are the intangibles that I don't think are talked about enough anymore. Like you can talk about last year, the year before. Connor McDavid going out after a game, showing up at a beer store, walking back with a couple cases of beer, putting it in his car. You're like, dude, that's awesome. Probably taking it to the boys, having a sit down, whatever. When have you ever seen anything like that with Crosby? Like squeaky clean. The guy is a perfectionist in everything, and
Yeah.
I respect that. I like that.
Yeah, I love McDavid too, though. He's the next version. Just what a
The
just a
evolution of
humble
life,
athlete.
man. Yeah, the evolution of the game and life, and that's just the new era of his age and generation. And it's
Mhm.
the game's amazing. The game is beautiful. How talented these guys are is incredible.
Mhm.
Austin Matthews, look at Connor Bedard right now, leading the league or up there. Like these
Mhm.
kids are so good, man. These players are so good.
Yeah. So what about you? Like you're done with hockey now. Do you play men's league? Do you get out on the ice on your skates, just sticking puck? Like, do you miss just receiving a good pass or a crispy, like those cross ice passes, like just
Yeah,
like tape to tape? Don't you miss that?
I do. So living in Nashville, we're very fortunate. We had a wealthy guy that built a rink on his property out here, and we got a retirement skate on Tuesdays, and then I don't play all the time just with my schedule, but I mean we have Captain Canada Ryan Smith is in town, Andy
Nice.
Sutton, Bobby Ryan, Mike Fisher, um, Russian guy like Chris Lee, Lucas Spees is here, Cody McLeod's here, Craig Smith just moved back. Like we have this little private skate that goes on Tuesdays, and so I get out and jump on the ice when I can, but I can't turn it off. It's like when I'm on, like they're out there to have fun, and I'm out there hunting them down on a back check, lifting their stick.
Yeah, I started doing that too, though, man. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to turn it off. This is just me. This is how
Me,
people are going to know me. He just likes to play hard. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think we have to feel so bad about it. Just, it's hockey, man. It's just have fun. Let the game flow. This is how we play the game, you know?
yeah, you're spot on. And it's just honestly, that's how I live my life. Like
Mm,
I, everything I do, I have to do it to the fullest of everything. And then when I go out there, I'm like, I'm out here to burn some calories and get an exercise in. Like
yeah,
I'm gonna back check you. Like
yeah,
I'm gonna rub you in the corner. I'm gonna have some fun and laugh at you.
yeah,
Like it's good and it's competitive because I think it's so funny, right? Because you bring one guy, you talk about like cancer can
mhm,
spread, but you bring one guy out there that skate, me or even Fish or whoever, that just takes it to that next level. All these guys are ex NHL guys. They all have
yeah,
that competitive nature, and it comes out too, right? So the
yeah,
next thing you know, we're in a really good skate, and guys are like competitive and cheering, scoring goal. Like it's a lot of fun. But
yeah,
that's our market. That's I'm blessed to be here in Nashville, and it's
yeah.
yeah.
All you got to do is just keep score. To say, guys, we're playing a few games to 5, and that all of a sudden you're in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh
Just we're
yeah,
gonna start keeping score, and things change.
yeah. We got like JP Dumont helps coach the minor league, the junior Preds here, and you can look up JP Dumont if you know that name, but played like 12 years in the NHL, I think it was. JP would be late 50s. He plays every Sunday night in the men's league, every Sunday night. Like
Yeah,
he loves it. These guys love it, man, and it's a beautiful thing.
yeah.
And so Yeah, dude, this is, please know, I really appreciate this. I know we're talking on and on, but I
Yeah.
really,
Me too, man.
when
Me
you
too.
reached
Right
out,
back at you.
yeah, when you reached out and sitting here and tapping into stuff that gets put in the memory bank and kind of gets lost,
Mhm.
I really appreciate this. Thank you. Because it's,
Yeah. Okay. So I have one last question for you because a friend of mine from out here in Atlantic, Canada, although he's in Montreal at the moment, he was wondering how does someone get into being a scout in the CHL, AHL, NHL?
yeah, it's a great question. I think there's a lot of people that are trying to do it. And I think it's the hard answer, and he may not want to know this or hear it, but it's kind of who do you know, and who do you know, and who likes you and trusts you. It's a lot of trust when you have a GM or a team that hires you. Is because they're to bring in players. These GMs and stuff, they're relying on your reports. So they need to trust you. I think being involved in the game, whether it's minor hockey, coaching, I think you has to start there. If you didn't play, if you don't have a pro record or background, then I think you have to be coaching minor hockey and just figure that way out. And then truly, it's interviews, it's sending in, applications or whatever, figuring out which teams are hiring, and just trying to get in front of somebody. That's the biggest thing. My journey was a little bit different, and I was very grateful and blessed to have that just kind of fall in my lap. But that
Who was
also,
it that asked you? Like, how did you get in? They just someone random or someone you knew along the
yeah.
way?
So that when I got into it was my end of the year meeting with my coach Greg in the minors. I said, Greg, I'm done. Like, basically that next day I was driving home. I got a call from CMAC, Chris McFarland. He was assistant GM, saying, hey, listen, I'm really, great career. But my relationship with Chris goes back to my Columbus days too, right? And then I had him in Colorado. And then that story was I was in the summertime, go home, and I went through after about 3 weeks, I was going through serious identity issues of like panic. And
Yeah.
I use this term of like hockey was a dream. Like I was like dreaming for 13 years. And then I go home and one day, or I wake up from this dream and I have to make my bed and I have to figure out what do I do with my day. You said it. When you play hockey, it's easy. Your schedule's laid out for you. You know where to be, you know when to eat, you know when to sleep, you know where to go, you know when to train in the summer times, you know you have 2 or 3 months off to train and then you start up again. But I went through this, and you've done it too. I went through serious identity issues, man. I lost myself as a man and just wanted to die, drinking, and wanted to kill myself. And so I called my agent and be like, hey, I want to play. Try to find me an American League deal. I want to play again. And so he threw my name out there a little bit, and I got a phone call from Chris being like, hey, I'm seeing your name. I thought you were done. And I just basically was like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like I started studying for my real estate license, and I'm like, I'm lost. He's like, I fired one of our pro scouts, and with you living in Nashville, you can do the Central. Would you consider that? And I'm like, what does that entail? He goes, just lots of travel, but you're involved in the game. You're going to be my guy, and you and I were going to talk a lot. He's like, talk to the family, let me know. Literally 24 hours later, call him like, I'm in. Sign me up. He's like, well, the money's not very good, but
What are we talking here? Can you say like 50
yeah.
G?
So my first year part time was like 35, and then but all your expenses are paid for.
Mhm.
So you put every team's different, but I put all on my credit card. Then you submit your receipts, and
Can I just ask, like you made a lot of money through your career at this point financially? Are you feeling comfortable? Do you have your house? Are you renting? Your car's paid
yeah,
off?
no,
Like,
I
where
had
were
a
you?
house here. I had a house here, not outside Nashville, but it's still like, yeah, I did well in my career, but I pissed a lot of it away, just decisions and choices.
Mhm.
But I was still fine. I was fine for,
Mhm.
even if I didn't have that, I'm fine for a couple of years to figure my
So
life
like
out.
that you didn't really care about the money. You were okay. It's just,
Oh yeah,
you know
I
what I
was
mean?
like that. The money's fine. Just give me purpose.
Yeah.
The way I played, the way you played, like I need purpose every single day. I wake up every single day with focus on my business, my real estate business now, because I need purpose. If I don't have purpose, dude, I'm lost mentally. I'm a mental midget. Like And that's why I'm still a gym rat. That's why I still do certain things that we did when we played. Like I still train like a hockey player, you know?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, like it's just who I am. So when I got that opportunity, when I got it, I was grateful and embraced it, dude. Like I was all in, but I was very fortunate because timing of life and timing just fell in my lap again. And that's why, like, I don't think I was ever my career ever getting fucked. I don't think I ever had felt the need where I was getting screwed. Like, and I wasn't I played with Andrew Jodry in Springfield. Jodes is a career AHL guy. And he was always big into faith and the Bible studies. Remember that in the American League?
Yeah, hockey ministries.
Hockey ministries. And my faith journey didn't really, I'm like, what is this? And then life after hockey, going through divorce, going through real hard times, you find faith. And then you do the whole evaluation of life of like the career, and you're like, wait a second, like God took care of me out of all these years and gave me something every single time. I had no purpose, no identity. Get a phone call from Chris McFarland. Hey, do you want a pro scout? Wow. There's the old man upstairs being like, hey, here's another one for you. You know, go see what you can do with it. I'm taking care of you. I got you. So I think I know I'm going on with this answer for that guy.
No, man. I love this. You're talking my language.
It's real. It's true. And, you know, playing, I wasn't an NHL player, but I got to play in the NHL. And having all that is, hockey gave me a kickstart to life. It literally taught me discipline, taught me how to run and have fun. It taught me everything. Hockey taught me everything about life. You know, I say I went through a midlife crisis at the age of like 32, you know, just finding purpose again. But I think the scouting job is real tricky. CHL stuff is where you definitely should start if you don't have a hockey background or anything like that. You know, trying to figure out a way to meet GMs, meet coaches, get involved in the game. I think there's so many, like, I hear young players all the time, and junior and even young players in the NHL have all these like Adamo skill coach, but like you have your coach and then you have your coach outside. I already touched on this, but I think that's an issue. I think you got too many people barking down at you. But just get involved in the game. That's it. Find a way to get involved in the game, and if it's meant to be and you're good at what you're doing, you'll build something out of it. The game will find you. I always say, if you're good enough as a hockey player, the game's going to find you. I don't care if you live in New Brunswick, PI. I don't care where you live. If you're good enough, the game will find you. Someone's going to find you. So.
Yeah, I echo that. Yeah, these I'm in a lot of the Facebook parenting groups and stuff now with the work I'm doing, and it's amazing just watching or seeing the parents just they're just in that sort of victim mentality. It's always the coach. My kid's not playing enough. There's other kids out playing them, and it's just like,
you know, that's human nature. I feel like it's human nature, that victim mentality, and you touched on it's cancer, like, and it spreads, and the self-pity. You know, I'm getting after, you know, coach didn't play me when he should, or I'm better than this guy. Why am I not playing here? That mentality is, you can't have that. Show up and go to work. Hockey's a job. And I think a lot of people miss that. I think a lot of young players don't understand that. That is your job. It's clocking in, you know, clocking out, and you're paid to do a job. Just shut your mouth. Focus, be a good teammate, love your teammate, love the blessing that the good Lord has given you to play at that elite level. You're making a boatload of money, and do your job, provide a service. That's it.
It's really that simple. Yeah, the thing is with the victim mentality, there's no end to the blame pointing. It's unlimited. There will always be something to blame, or someone or something. You have to stop somewhere and be like, what can I do, me personally, with this situation to get me going in the right direction? But it requires just a light bulb moment. And that's the thing I'm hungry to find out. Like, how can I get this? How can I get the players that I coach to have that light bulb moment sooner than later, than have to suffer through a couple seasons till they finally do have it? Maybe it just takes them. Everyone's on their own journey. You know, you can't force it. You can lead a person to a water or to the well, but you can't make them drink kind of thing. But you know, if there's anything, you know, I hope, you know, people will watch this and maybe it'll be a light bulb moment for them, you know, that it's up to me.
That's
Worry about
right.
what I can control, and that's it. And go to
That's it.
work,
That's
head
it,
down,
man.
good
It's,
attitude, you know.
you know, you talk about Bobby, and Bobby's a good friend of mine. Like Bobby's journey in life was incredible. You know what I mean? The stuff he went through at a young age, and getting dropped to my hometown of Owen Sound in the O, like you're like, wow, and you're like, this guy. I mean, overcame adversity and became an NHL All Star, like, and had a
Yeah.
hell of a career. Like amazing, right? Like everyone's journey is different. Everyone has their own adversity. Everyone has their own issues. Everyone has their own story to tell, and it's just a matter of what you just said was the only thing you do in life, hockey, baseball, life in general, is you wake up and you put into it what you can put into it, and you control your own thoughts, and that's it. And it took me a long time to truly understand the mental side of it, but that's it. If you can get these kids to just understand, like, you can't control what that other kid's doing at home or what his parents can provide for that kid and that your parents can't provide for you. It doesn't matter. But you still have a hockey stick, you still have a golf ball. Go in your driveway, get better. You have the opportunity to go for a run. You have the opportunity to do a workout in a soccer field. You don't need a big gym. You don't need all that. You can probably afford rollerblades if you're playing hockey. Like those are the stuff that you can do that you have access to. But you can't control the noise around you. But you
Mhm.
can control you and your effort, your mindset every single day. And I think that's huge. I think it's huge. And I think the kids that can embrace that and understand it will succeed in life, not just hockey, but in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
All true, man. Thank you so much. Dude, I didn't expect us to go over 2 hours, but this was an incredible conversation. And yeah, just a gift. You know, I started my hockey journey with you. You know, as I
yeah.
mentioned at the start, you were one of the first people I met on the journey. You, Mike Swift, Dustin Jeffrey, Luca
Yeah.
Caputi, Stefan Legion. You know, all of us were sort of coming into the O around the same time, and we all went off and had our own pro hockey journeys in all different directions. But it's yeah, just incredible to sync up all these years later. You know, we have our own careers, we have kids living in different parts of the world. Just one last question, because this is really interesting to me. No European journey for you. You just North
Yeah.
America and done.
Yeah. I had an opportunity when I was in Columbus's organization in the minors. I kept getting calls from German teams. I had one opportunity to go to Russia. Um, yeah, I was scared. That's the truth. I didn't
Of the
know
hockey or the culture?
culture, life, everything. Like I just didn't want to give up on the dream here, like, and I just didn't want to do it. And also, like, I also had a reality. Like, I was always honest with myself of like who I was and my skill set, right? Like, I knew the player I was, and I embraced it. That's why every night I played hard. I knew even though I had an opportunity to go over there and play, it'd be short lived. I wouldn't be able, like, my game and who I was, I don't think would have done well over there. And maybe in the German league, the Dell or something, but I wouldn't have done well, man. I was built for the American Hockey League and the
Mhm.
NHL, like up and down, like at that time and where the game was, like that's where I was. My game was built for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, fair enough, fair
yeah,
enough. I would have loved to seen you play somewhere, like, even if, you know, as you make enough money in your career, you could play somewhere where it's not like the main incentive. You know, I played 1 year in Italy, and it was my most favorite year out of my entire career because, yeah, the stakes weren't too high. You know, I was living up in the Italian Alps, had this
yeah,
apartment, like, looked
yeah,
at the mountains, snow-capped, and driving to practice in this little, Fiat, you know, and there's no one in the stands, but it's just
yeah,
like living in Europe, just, you know,
yeah,
they don't have, like, the coffee machines like we're used to in the locker room. It's just espresso or nothing, you know? So
yeah.
you just get used to that, and that's part of the journey. Like,
But
before the games, we would have espresso with the other team up in the restaurant. We're, like, talking, and then we go down and try to bash each other's heads in. You know, it's just a unique
Beautiful
experience.
thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But also like knowing you and knowing you for years ago, like I think you embrace that cultural stuff too. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of an artsy guy, right? Like I think you would have embraced that way more than I would have. Like going over there, traveling, scenery, days off, traveling, jumping on a train or something, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me.
It would have been tough, you know, a long journey in the show, and then you go to Denmark or Italy or something where you're using like packaging tape for your shin pads, and you fill your own water bottle and carry your own. Dude, I'm not lying. There's kids with cages. This one kid in my first, remember just getting their first day in Denmark, he's wearing like gloves, like nylon gloves under his hockey gloves. You're
No.
just seeing all types of wild stuff. You're like, wow, how did I get here? Like, man, I was just playing in the Prudential Center like a year ago,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And you know what though?
Oh,
I mean, we can talk. I can talk your off all day, but like, you remember Chris Lawrence,
yeah, I love yeah.
Larry's
He's
still a
gonna be
good
on
buddy.
soon. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Larry's a
awesome.
good buddy of mine still. I mean, here's a guy that 50 goals, 53 goals this last year, junior. And I'll watch if you get him on here. I'm happy. I can't wait to watch that because his journey was crazy. But it's like, how many guys do we know that were lights out? The Donati twins, like Justin and Ty, but they couldn't figure out a way to make it the pro level. The discipline of life is just different when you hit the pro level, and it's crazy, man. I love this stuff. I love tapping into this because I don't do it often, and yeah, it's your journey was great too, man. You should be very happy with everything you've kind of overcame and everything you did because
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm very grateful. Like you, I hear it in your voice. Like I too, man. I just look back and think to myself literally every day, like, how fun. I honestly, part of me, I just wish so bad that I could go back and live it again. It was that much fun. Practice and just
oh yeah,
2-on-1s and battle drills and just making a nice pat. Like the feeling you get from that, it's just
oh yeah. I
so
do
fun.
when I go play on Tuesdays. I'm throwing hard, crisp passes, hard. The
Yeah.
boys are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I love it." It's the art of the sport. It's the beauty of the sport that if you're a hockey guy, you understand it. If you're not,
Yeah.
you don't. And I enjoy it. I enjoy it now with my business. I enjoy taking people to the Preds games that don't watch hockey down here, and they go and experience it. And I can talk hockey a little bit with them, and the game is awesome. It's awesome. So,
All right. Cody Bass, man, thank you so much for your time. This has
thank
been
you.
enjoyable conversation for myself, and I know people have been tuning in and listening. It's just such a great story, man. You've just the ups and downs, like incredible journey. I'm glad that you're doing well today too, thriving
Yeah,
real
thank
estate
you.
business in Nashville.
Yeah, thank you. If you ever need help, anything, man, call me. If you ever want to do this again or whatever, just let me know.
Yeah. I think I might want to do a part 2 with the post hockey, just the identity, because that's something I talk about openly, the identity crisis and finding purpose and yeah, just that whole spiritual development side of
You
life.
should. Yeah, you should. I think that's the stuff that people don't understand. A lot of it
Mhm,
is hockey's a military style. It's a military life,
mhm.
and life after hockey is challenging.
Yep.
So,
It is.
hey, brother, I appreciate it. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Okay, Pastor, have a good day.
Okay, bud. See ya. Bye.
See ya.